Dip. Mm-hmm. Get. Alright, so today I just wanted to do a really quick update on Fusion and kind of like where they are now compared to back in March when I did my last video. So for starters, they have a new website. So I'm not going to go through this at all. I want you to go through, kind of check it out, give it a quick look. But it looks much better than the other one did. And, you know, they're doing their thing piece by piece. But let's check out FSN price. Now, the last time I did a video update, the growth was 1.53x over ICO. Now, this is using Ethereum, not US dollar comparatives, right? So even though the price is very similar to what it was last time because of these massive corrections in Ethereum, our growth is actually up from ICO compared to that last video. So 1.53x back in March, and now we're looking at 2.78x. Now, at a month prior, this was up 4x or something like that too. So like all other coins right now, there's some massive fluctuation as per usual. So I'm just going to kind of go through tab by tab here and talk about what I've got pulled open. So the Fusion Foundation introduces Fusion Intelligence. So the FFI, right? The Fusion Foundation Intelligence Conference or Committee, right? So I think on May 17th, back in, May 17th, down in Manhattan, there was the first official FFI conference. I got to go. I drove down. I'm an upstate New Yorker. Drove down, got to meet the team. Got myself a nice button here, nice little pad. But more importantly than anything that they gave away like that was just being able to meet the team, shake hands with DJ, shake hands with Gnome, meet all the community members, kind of just put faces to the reputations that we've all read about, right? So on this FFI team, there's a few different things going on. We've got the Fusion Foundation Intelligence team, and we've also got like the mass adoption, or I don't know exactly what they're calling it, but another sub team where it's aimed at basically adoption and increasing awareness for Fusion in a traditional finance setting. So if we look here at Business Wire, this is an older article, but I figured I'd put it up since it's since my last video. So this again just kind of brings up the FFI, or Fusion Foundation Intelligence Committee, I guess you could say. And I just wanted to bring this up to read a few highlights. So these are a few of the people, right? A few of the guys on the team. Jeff Singer, right? This guy served as CEO and board member of NASDAQ Dubai and the Dubai International Finance Center. I'm going to leave it at that. That's unbelievable. I'm just going to read, keep it simple here. Petrozo, we've got a history here. Morgan Stanley, Deutsche Bank, Fidelity Investments, Goldman Sachs. You can, look into the details if you'd like, but I'm just talking about these household names, household brands that most people have heard of. Eric Weinstein, this individual had, Lehman Brothers down there, hedge fund management. Yeah, that's that dude. And then another one, Dr. Kidwai, or Najam Kadwai. I butcher names, so you have to excuse me for that. But again, just a guy he's been in charge of some IPOs, successful IPOs, or initial public offerings in traditional finance. So, this is just a taste of some of the people are on the FFI team, or at least associated with Fusion, right? So at that Fusion Foundation Intelligence conference, or the FFI conference back in May, we had, a lot of these people were there. A couple guest speakers, a couple advisors were there. And, DJ obviously himself was there, and he brought up some of these goals for the roadmap, right? So again, the goal for the end of Q2, right, is to basically have contracted, or at least some sort of agreement with a few different companies, and basically solidify or secure $10 billion worth of, you can say, real world assets, or $10 billion worth of things to be tokenized onto the Fusion blockchain, right? So the goal was 10 billion. If I recall correctly from when I was down there, and I'm sure many of you have heard this by now, but I'd like to state it anyway. I believe they're over 12.3 billion. So the goal was 10 billion by the end of Q2, and early, or maybe mid Q2, that goal had already been smashed by 2 billion, almost 20+%. So there's specific information. I could put some links down there, but different companies, Formula A, used car type. I don't know exactly what they do, but Carnex and a couple other companies. I'll skip the details on all of that, but I just wanted to bring up the main point here that before the end of Q2, the goal was 10 billion, and they smashed it by 20+%. If you fast forward a little bit, the goal by the end of Q3 is $100 billion worth of assets to be tokenized or tied to the Fusion blockchain. So, if they beat the Q2 goals by 20%, it's not far-fetched to think maybe they'll do the same for Q3. And just to close your eyes and consider the fact that there might be $100 billion worth of distributed control services, or assets to be digitized, tokenized, or tied to the Fusion blockchain. That is pretty impressive, and that's it. I just want to bring that up, and obviously as you go down, that's going to just be greater and greater goals as we go. And we've seen that Fusion can meet their goals. That's basically my point here. And we've got mainnet supposedly going to be coming out by the end of Q2 as well. Again, you might think that's crazy far-fetched because there hasn't been too much commotion, not a lot of price action, but I won't be surprised at all if they stick to the schedule and get that out in the next week or so. We'll see what they do with that. This again kind of goes into depth. This was actually on Nasdaq.com. Fusion shocks Wall Street with $12.28 billion announcement. This is just basically a summary of everything that I just went over with the assets that are already contracted or signed to be tied to the mainnet when it goes live. What do we got here? This is some newer news. The Talao team and Fusion kind of teamed up. This is a whole freelance styled, thing. I don't know enough about Talao, but the whole point here is that they're going to be tying 20% of the total token supply for this company, Talao. 20% of those tokens, representing 30,000 Ether worth of those tokens, are going to be, again, tied to the Fusion blockchain. So this is separate from the 12.28 billion that were announced at the FFI conference. So if you look, another 30,000 Ethereum worth to be tied up on the Fusion blockchain, that is pretty amazing. Do the math. I mean, the price is so volatile, I can't tell you what that is right now. But this, again, this is just another one and another one. They're going to keep coming. This team is working relentlessly, and they have an unbelievable adoption team. And I think that this is just going to continue and continue and continue. Now, speaking of possible partnerships, or I guess you could say legitimate partnerships, I'm going to bring this up. Investry, investor.io, right? This is a new project. They're going to be doing a token sale eventually. And it's basically a decentralized crypto finance system. Sounds relatively familiar. I mean, decentralized crypto finance. I'm going to skip all the stuff here and go down to some of the most impressive stuff that I found on here, and that's the team, okay? So, first of all, there's a few overlapping people here. If you look at advisors and teammates or team members with the Fusion team, there's some overlap here between these two projects, right? So I'm going to just kind of summarize some of the things that you can see right on here. So David Perez, Managing Director at Goldman Sachs. Jerry Wang, Executive Director at Morgan Stanley, right? VP at Morgan Stanley. I'm just going to keep going through here. Developer at Morgan Stanley. Developer at Google. Developer at Bloomberg. Developer at Microsoft and Google, right? So these are some powerhouse people with some unbelievable credentials. At least some unbelievable work experiences, right? So the project sounds, it's one of those things, if you're going through token metrics or kind of evaluating it, you'd have to go in real depth there. But at least you get a picture of, again, the quality of the teammates and advisors on this project, right? So you go down and check out institutional supporters. And who is there front and center? Fusion, right? So this project that we're looking at here, Investor or Investry, they are going to be selecting a blockchain to build on. After the ICO, we're not talking about the ICO. We're talking about, what are they going to actually use when the project goes live, right? And we have to see, okay, out of all these companies on here, do we see any other blockchains on here? I mean, I don't know all of these companies, so I can't speak with certainty here. However, Fusion seems to be the best support and the best, most likely candidate based off what I see here from institutional supporters. So if you see here in Q3 2018, they're going to select a blockchain and they're going to cross-chain loan. They're going to basically begin the project on the selected blockchain. This is speculation. We have no idea if this is real or not. But if you look at not the team here, but if you come down and check out some of the early supporters and advisors, there is more overlap here. Individuals here, people who are on both Fusion, on the Fusion advisor board, and also on the investor or investry advisor board. So this is one of those things. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but if you just kind of check that out, see Fusion is right here as an institutional supporter. You realize that this team is looking for a blockchain to tie their crypto finance platform on, or crypto finance DApp on. It's not too far-fetched again to think there might be some serious connection here, or relationship or partnership. So there's that. Now I wanted to bring this up. We've got a little bit of information since last time. I don't think I've ever discussed the Fusion Supreme node or Master node, but long story short, you're going to need 5,000 Fusion. And if you have 5,000 Fusion, you're going to be able to, it's almost like the prerequisite to be able to participate in the proof of work, or the mining of Fusion. You can't just have a miner set up and go blah, 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 set it up and mine Fusion. You need to have the 5,000 to let you basically begin that process. So we know there's a hybrid here. There's proof of work and proof of stake. And apparently, so if you have, there's no minimum on proof of stake. If you want to stake 1,000, these are completely, this is from Fusion Community and this Fusion Explorer here. But if you calculate this, if you have 1,000 Fusion, you're going to be staking them only. You should annually earn roughly 109 Fusion. At current prices, it's a few $100, but if you fast forward a little bit, that could be a significant annual earnings. Now, with the Master or Supreme nodes, you're not just mining, but it's going to be a hybrid there. You're going to be able to stake those 5,000 and mine, participate in the mining rewards. Now, the estimated returns on that are 25% for Supreme node holders. So again, if you have 5,000 here, I mean, we can't really. It's up there. You might be earning anywhere from 1,250 to maybe 1,700 Fusion a year annually, and that sounds pretty insane. But if my math is correct, that's pretty much what people are looking at. So this is why perhaps the price is hanging in there on days where there's a lot of red, bloody Sundays and all those things where everything is just getting crushed. There have been days where Fusion stays green, and that's basically because as soon as it goes down below $3, it seems to be purchased right back up to that $3 range where it's been holding for a little bit now. So again, if we talk about this miner and this Supreme node, it's not easy to acquire 5,000. I mean, I guess the overall price right now, if you were just going to set that thing up, would be 15 grand, 15.5. Obviously, if you've had Ethereum from other projects, you're just kind of tossing gains back and forth. Maybe that was nothing to you. And at ICO price, that might have been that might have only been 5 grand or something like that. But anyway, so that's the information on the Supreme node. And the last bit that I wanted to jump into here was basically something that I threw together myself here. It's a future Fusionaire, or future millionaires due to Fusion. Obviously, this is not financial advice. This is just something to bring the community together and maybe help support my channel, me personally, however you want to look at it. I'll put the link to this below, but it's just some t-shirts, some apparel, right? So we've got front and back there, and we've got hoodies, front and back. It's all similar. You can select whatever colors you want here. We got white, black, gray. We've got female shirts, stickers. Everything's on here, right? So I'll put the link below if you're interested. If you're a long-term Fusionaire, long-term holder, I'll throw this on there. You can pick them up. I think they're reasonably priced, $21, something like that. So I'll put that on there, and anything else that I forgot to mention, yell at me in the comments. But please subscribe if you learn anything. I appreciate the views, and subscribe if you like the content. There'll be a lot more to come. Alrighty then.
Check this.